Hey everybody, Drew here. Welcome to my very expensive mistake. Kidding, kind of. All joking aside, I'm going to do a studio tour today, so let's go take a look around. So I'll start out with a quick 360 overview of the studio. So over here on the left, I've got my guitar rack. I keep probably about 20 guitars, maybe 22 guitars out at any given time. So I've got my Jazzmasters, Jaguars, Mustangs, various other offsets, Bass 6, got a couple Strats, my Acoustics. I'll do a guitar rundown at the end, but then going on from my guitar racks, this is my lounge section, so this doubles as my home office as well, so I am on this couch quite a bit, whether I'm working, relaxing, hanging out, writing music, spend a lot of time there. Then I've got my guitar amp and effects section at the end of the room. My desk setup and all the studio gear. And then I've got my synth workstation over here in this corner. As you can see, I'm definitely a big fan of having greenery in the studio. It's a big part of the studio vibe, definitely. I guess the first thing I'll talk about is the studio acoustics. I'm really big on GIK acoustics, so that's all of the acoustic treatment that's in here. So as you can see in each corner, I've got the GIK tri-traps. And then on the back wall here, I've got the monster traps. I've also got the monster traps at the first reflection points. And I've got monster traps on the ceiling as well. All of the other panels you see on the wall are either 242 or 244, which is just a less dense, less thick trap, but the same material as the tri-traps and the monster traps. Let's see. So let's go take a look at my guitar amp setup. I've got the Pro Reverb, the JC40, Vox AC15, hand-wired TV edition, which is like the 50th anniversary edition. I've got a Tone King Royalist Mark III, JCM 900 Studio, and then I've got my modelers. Another key part of the studio, as you'll see, is pretty much don't see any wires anywhere in the studio, and that's thanks to my series of patch bays. So I've got a patch bay here, got a patch bay on my desk, and then I've got my guitar patch bay down there. All the patch bays connect to each other, so no matter where I am in the studio, I can make easy connections or send things across the studio. Not that the studio is super big, it's about 400 square feet, but it allows me to keep the cables at bay and have everything wired up and ready to go, and minimizes the cable runs. So this patch bay over here, it's not ideal to have it under my amps like that. I'd like to eventually move it. I couldn't really fit a rack under there. Didn't want to put the rack on top of the amps, but I think maybe I'll build it into the wall at some future date to get it to be a little bit more accessible. I've got to kind of bend down it anytime I need to patch something in. Also down here with the patch bay, I've got my Little Labs Red Eye, which is my DI box and reamping box. I do a lot of reamping, especially for YouTube videos. So it all goes through the Little Labs Red Eye. And then I've got a Walrus stereo canvas DI box that I use with like amp pedals and modelers and stuff to either act as a line isolator or a DI for those. So let's take a look at my amps. So first is my Roland JC40 Jazz Chorus. This is my #1 amp right now. It's super clean, takes pedals really well. And since I've been really big on stereo effects for the past couple of years, this really enables me to nail my stereo sound. And it's super clean. It also takes distortion pedals and fuzz pedals really well too. So it's not that I don't use it for dirty and fuzzed out sounds, because I do. But I tend to rely a little bit more on my Pro Reverb over here for dirty and fuzzed out sounds. This is a 1968 custom Pro Reverb. It's my favorite Fender amp of all time. I think of it as the little brother of the twin reverb. It's a very similar tone stack, about half the wattage of a twin, and of course it's got 112 as opposed to 212. But it's a compact way to get that twin reverb sound, in my opinion. Really love this amp. It's my #2 for sure. And I'll show you in a minute about how I achieve my stereo sounds with the Pro Reverb, because I've got a cool way of doing that. Yeah, so next we've got my Vox AC15 hand-wired TV edition. So it's like the 50th anniversary AC15. This is a sick amp. I've owned probably 7 or 8 different Vox amps over the years, from vintage 60s AC30s to Korg era top boost, and multiple versions of the modern custom classic. So this one is special, and this anniversary edition is the only one that I'm aware of that has both the top boost tone stack and the EF86 tone stack. And that EF86 tone stack is what really makes it a special amp. Sounds amazing. Next we've got my Tone King Royalist Mark III. This is an amp that I don't use a whole lot actually, but it's my go-to for kind of British dirt sounds. It does the JTM 45 tone stack, it does the plexi, and it also does the super lead. Sounds great. Even though it sounds great, it's not an amp that I use a whole lot, but it does the trick when I need it to. Then I've got my Marshall JCM 900 Studio, which is a very nostalgic amp for me. So I started playing guitar back in the 90s, and the JCM 900 was my first real big boy guitar amp. So when I use this amp, it's very nostalgic, and it really gives me that early to mid 90s alt rock, alternative rock, or grunge vibe. And yeah, it's a great amp. Moving on to my attenuator. So I've got the Universal Audio aux box. I've also got an aux stomp, which I pretty much exclusively use for my JC40. That's how I record my 40. Then I've got the Tone Torpedo Captor X by 2 Notes. And so I'm predominantly using my aux box for everything for the most part, unless I'm going stereo. So a lot of times I'll record in stereo with my Pro Reverb and the AC15, or really any combination of 2 amps. So if I'm going stereo, when I go 2 amps or a wet dry or whatever, I'll use both at the same time. But I really gravitate towards the aux because it's super simple. It's got, 20 or 24 different cabs, nice room emulation, and I definitely suffer from analysis paralysis when I got too many options. So I like to limit them, and I think the aux box does a good job of limiting the options but giving you exactly what you need to make things sound good. So that's why I gravitate towards it for the most part. And then I'll use the Captor X when I want to go something totally custom, or if I'm going for a specific sound that I need to tweak a lot, or if I need a lot of flexibility in my sound. The Captor X allows me to get super granular. Then we've got up here, we've got my Meris preamps, which, as I alluded to before, I have a way to get my Fender Pro Reverb through stereo effects. That's what's great about these Meris 440 preamps, is it's got an effects loop. So my Pro Reverb or whatever amp I'm using, I patch it into the inputs of the Meris preamps, and then the sends of the preamps go to my pedal board. Pedal board out goes to the returns of the 440s, and it's a way to integrate those stereo effects after the amp, after the speaker emulation. That's where I find I really like to run my modulation effects, delays, reverbs. Super great there. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities with that, with the effects loop. And then, as you can see, right now I do a lot of the patching or the switching of my amps and cabs just through patching them in manually. So I think the next thing on my list to get is definitely some kind of speaker amp switcher. Not that it's a huge big deal to patch those in and out, but if I had a switching device, it would make it super simple and easy to switch on the fly. So I think that's my next purchase for sure. Then I got my modelers, the FM9 and the ToneMaster Pro. Got the ToneMaster Pro when it first came out, and although I really loved it, I ended up selling it because I felt it was kind of limited in its stereo capabilities. But recent firmware updates have really fixed those initial problems that I had with the ToneMaster Pro and doing stereo things. So I just got this again for the second time about a week ago, and with the new firmware, I'm really loving what it can do. I'm going to do some videos on it pretty soon. And then I've got the Fractal FM9, which I had really high hopes for, and so far it's been kind of disappointing. But I want to give it some more time. I want to do some deep dives with it and really see if I can make it sound as good as the other modelers, like my Helix or my ToneMaster Pro. And I've also got a Helix XL or Helix Stadium XL coming whenever they finally released. I pre-ordered one, so I'm hoping to get that pretty soon, and I can start doing some comparison videos on that. I'm super excited to try it out. Also, as you can see, I'm a big fan of those Fender color cables. I think I've got 3 or 4 in every color that Fender offers. Definitely a nice way to spice up your guitar rig with color. I love those cables. And then we've got my pedal collection. This isn't all of them. So I've got, I think, somewhere around 300 pedals in total. I keep some in storage, but my top 70 or 80 are in this rack here. And kind of the way I've approached pedal boards the last year or so is building new pedal boards for specific use cases or specific tasks or specific videos in the last couple of months. And I've shied away from making a pedal board that kind of defines my core tone. But I really want to do that before the end of the year. Get into, I'll probably do a video on it, a video on creating a pedal board for 2026 that kind of defines my sound. So it gets me out of building pedal boards for specific use cases. So I'll see what happens there. I'm kind of excited to do that. Then of course over here I've got my Ableton Push 3, which Ableton is my main digital audio workstation. So this definitely comes in handy when I'm writing, composing, mixing, whatever. Definitely love the Push 3. So that's it for the guitar stuff for right now. I'll do an overview of my guitars last, but next we've got my desk setup. So I've got a pretty big desk. It's super long. I think it's called a Studio RTA desk that I picked up from Guitar Center probably 8-9 years ago. For $350, it was a steal. It's a great desk. It's got the built-in racks, super wide workspace, multiple tiers, and yeah, it helps me keep organized and have a nice workspace to either do my day job work or music work. Speakers, I've got the PreSonus Scepter S8 coaxial monitors. These are really great. They've got built-in DSP, and the fact that they're coaxial monitors really help with the stereo imaging. Really creates a detailed stereo image. These monitors sound fantastic. They were never super popular, but I believe they should have been for sure. They're amazing monitors. And like I said, the DSP and the coaxial nature of the monitors helps with the stereo imaging and helps keep the stereo image phase and time aligned, which is super important. And then down here to augment the stereo set is the PreSonus 10-inch Temblor subwoofer, which is great, and in combination, it's a really fantastic setup. Then I've got my M4 MacBook Pro, which it's a computer. It does what it does. It's a great computer. I never run out of processing power. And I'm a big fan of single monitors. So I've got a 53-inch Samsung smart monitor that 4K, does everything I need it to do, and gives me a super big crisp display. Then I've got my cameras. I like the Sony ZV-E10, so I've got two of them. I've got an E10 and an E10 Mark II. So that's what I do the bulk of my recording with. Got a Tamron lens on this one and a Sigma lens on this one. I'm actually recording with my iPhone right now because I've got it attached to a gimbal, and it helps me get that super crisp image when I'm walking around. And then up here I've got my lighting rig. I just installed this drop down thing a couple weeks ago. So I can attach either my lighting rig to it, can attach multiple cameras to it. So it's an easy way to keep lights and cameras and tripods off the floor and keep my setup clean. I like a clean workspace. No cables, nothing on the floor for the most part, unless it needs to be there. So I'd like to definitely install another one of those on this side. So I've got one on each side of the studio. What else can I show you over here? So yeah, I've got Sennheiser HD650 headphones, as well as the Bear Dynamic DT770 Pros. Definitely love both of those headphones. I tend to use the 770 Pro when I'm tracking guitars quite a bit, and for everything else I use the HD650s. Then I've got my rack gear. Not big time into rack gear like I used to be. So really I've got my interface, which is an Apollo X6. And that's super key to my sound. I like to use the Apollo console for everything. It allows me to kind of use it as a digital mixer, so I don't have to have my computer on, and I can route, multiple guitar signals, my synths, whatever I want, and it's ready to record at all times. So even if I don't have my computer open, I can, monitor through it, and then when I'm ready to record, I just open my computer and hit go. So that's why I really love the Apollo for that reason. And then I've got my old school Apogee Ensemble interface as well. I use that as an 8-channel ADAT bridge into my Apollo. And it might be an 18-year-old interface, but it holds up. I can't really tell the difference between that and the Apollo X6, and I run my synthesizers through it for the most part. That's what I've got it there for. Then of course there's my my microphone patch panel and my patch bay, and I've also got the Warm Audio WA2MPX dual channel tube microphone preamplifier. So it's a nice complement to my Maris 440 preamps. I primarily use this with my SM7B. That's kind of the main reason I got the MPX, because it has 90 decibels worth of gain on tap, and it's definitely useful for the SM7B, which again is my main microphone that I use. But I've also used it to track other things. Sometimes I'll use it for drums or tracking synths and tracking guitars, but the 440s are my main go-to for guitar because of the effects loop and the capabilities that it gives me there. Yeah, and that's it for my rack gear. I use a lot of plugins, and I really like the Universal Audio Unison mic preamps, so that's what I use for the most part. And anything else, I'll use the 440s for guitar and the MPX for vocals and synths, and sometimes for bass DI as well. That's it for the studio equipment. Next is my synth station, the synth workstation. So down here I've got my Microkorg and my Arturia Mini Freak. Up here I've got a Roland Juno, the JU06A, which is a phenomenal synth. I've got my MPCX, which I like to make lo-fi beats on, and I also use it for some dream pop and shoegaze stuff as well. I'm going to do some videos on that pretty soon. I've also got my Complete Control S88 Mark III, which is kind of my main MIDI controller. As you can see, I'm also a big fan of Electron gear. So I've got the Analog Rhythm Mark II, the Analog 4 Mark II, Digitac 2 Digitone, and over here I've got the Analog Heat. I've also got a Syntact and an Octatrack in my closet, which I don't keep out because I don't use those a whole lot these days. I've got my record player and my Hydrasynth, which I love the Hydrasynth for its vast sound design capabilities. And then my OB6, which is my favorite analog synthesizer of all time. It's probably my most used synth. I've also got like a Take 5, a Pro 3, and a Grandmother, which maybe I'll be able to show you in a minute. It's outside of the studio in a cabinet, so I keep the rest of my synths in a cabinet outside. Oh yeah, then I've got obviously the other patch bay here, some power stuff, and a Mio XL by iConnectivity, which allows me to run MIDI all over the studio and route in and out of different devices, including my DAW. So that's super helpful when I need to make digital connections for MIDI. And then back here, I've got my ERM multi-clock, which helps me sync my DAW to all the MIDI gear and synths. And it also pops up on the patch bay as well, so I can send a clock signal to my pedal board to clock my pedal board as well when I'm doing MIDI stuff on the pedal board. But yeah, that's an overview of the studio. Hope you enjoyed seeing it. I'm going to get into walking through my guitars now. So here are my Jazzmasters. I've got 7 Jazzmasters. Definitely my favorite guitars for sure. So first up, I've got my 1960 Jazzmaster, which is almost completely stock. I did replace the stock bridge with a Descendant bridge, but other than that, it's completely stock. Next is my the most recent addition to the Jazzmaster family, which is my custom built MJT Jazzmaster. It's got a ice green metallic body over Sunburst, American Professional 2 Jazzmaster neck, fender locking tuners. This one's got a DWG bridge and a Descendant vibrato. And I've got Sunday hand wound Ophelia's pickups dropped in there. Those really hit on the late 1950s Jazzmaster sound. So I've got it paired with 280K black bobbin pots. And that's a wonderful sounding guitar. And it's thin line, which is cool. I think it's my favorite Jazzmaster right now. And it might be my new #1 guitar. I think for the first time in my life I have a #1 guitar. Not totally sold on that, but pretty sure it's my #1. Then this blue guy here is my American Professional 2 Jazzmaster, which is completely stock. It's actually the only offset that I have that I haven't made any modifications to, because I just love the way it sounded out of the box. Believe it or not, the Panorama tremolo is phenomenal. Came with a great bridge. No issues there. I love the V-Mod 2 pickups and the wiring scheme. Super versatile. I know a lot of people like to hate on the V-Mod 2 pickups, but I think they're a nice modern take on the Jazzmaster sound, and it really does it for me. Next guitar is kind of my take on the Costello Jazzmaster. So this is also a relatively new guitar. custom MJT build that I did. So it's got the MJT Costello Brown body with a also an American Professional 2 neck. As you'll see, I think that's my go-to Jazzmaster neck. Probably my favorite Jazzmaster neck of all time. It's got an AVRI trem, mastery bridge, and I went with the Duncan silencer pickups on this guy, which I have come to really love. I've never been a fan of noiseless single coils, especially not noiseless Jazzmaster pickups, but I don't know what kind of magic Seymour Duncan's working, because these are completely noiseless and they sound 100% like a Jazzmaster pickup should. And I've got the hot variation, so it's super well balanced and sounds great dirty, sounds great clean. Probably my new favorite Jazzmaster pickup. I can definitely confidently say my new favorite. Then last over here on this row is my American Ultra Jazzmaster. So this one has Novak pickups. It's got the JM Vintage in the neck and the JM Fat in the bridge. Also dropped in a Mastery trem and bridge, and it's a solid guitar. It's a really great Jazzmaster. It's not my favorite, but it's really solid and I love playing it. That's for sure. Then I've got my American Vintage 2 1966 Jazzmaster down here in Dakota Red. Put a Bell Rock bridge in it, and it's got Sunday hand wound pickups as well. It's got the Woody Plus Plus in the bridge and the regular Woody in the neck. It's a wonderful guitar, sounds great. I'm really impressed by that Bell Rock bridge. It's like probably the first time I ever put a new bridge in a guitar and was like, wow, it sounds different in a good way. So it definitely has a nice sound to it, in addition to being solid and keeping the buzz out of my playing, because I like super low action. Then the last Jazzmaster in the group here is a hybrid parts Jazzmaster, I guess. So it's a J Mascis body with a Fender CME edition player Jazzmaster neck, which is a wonderful neck. I really like the neck. I think behind the American Professional 2 neck, that's my favorite Jazzmaster neck. Something about the Slim C profile and the 9.5 inch radius just really makes it work for me. Super easy to play. And then it's got a Descendant Adaptomatic bridge with a Descendant vibrato, and it's got the Fender Cunife wide range humbuckers, 500K pots, and these wide range humbuckers are fantastic. They are really clear and clean. It retains the Jazzmaster sound in my opinion, but beefs it up. I don't know how to describe it offhand, but it's a really great sounding Jazzmaster. It's one of my most played Jazzmasters, that's for sure. Yeah, so those are my 7 Jazzmasters. Love them all. Super great guitars for sure. So next up are my Jags. First, I've got my Johnny Marr Jag, which has been refinished in, I think, one of my favorite Fender colors, Fiesta Red. Looks really cool. For the most part, it's stock. It's got a stay trem bridge, though, and I did put a Ronsky switch plate in there to make switching a little bit smoother. And so I don't accidentally hit the four-way switch when I'm playing. Other than that, it's I guess nope, not really a point of calling it completely stock because it's been refinished. It's got a new bridge and new switch plate, but yeah, those are the mods I've done there. Next up is the Made in Japan Traditional 2 Jaguar, which is wonderful. I have also put a stay trim bridge in this guy, along with an AVRI vibrato. Replaced the pickups with Tone Hatch Seattle 93s. They're fantastic pickups. They're hotter Jaguar pickups, meant to kind of encapsulate the sound of Seattle in 1993, so the alternative rock and grunge scene. Wonderful pickups, does everything from clean to dirty to fuzzed out, with a lot of clarity and sparkle. Definitely my favorite Jaguar pickups of all time. I can say that hands down. Sounds incredible. Then I've got my Vintera 1960s Jag, which also has an AVRI trem and stay trim bridge. And I did replace the pickups on this one. It has Sunday hand wound Jaguar pickups, which are meant to deliver the 64, 65 Jaguar sound. So it's, you know, very vintage forward, as it should be with the Vintera. So I definitely love playing the Vintera. It's a great guitar for sure. And then I've got my Cobain Jag, which I did butcher. I did take out the the pickup, so it's kind of no longer a Cobain Jag. It's got Righteous Sound 1991 Gazing pickups put in. Love those pickups. I sort of recently have fallen out of favor with my super hot pickups. So like the Super Distortions, the Invaders, the Hot Rails. Used to be a super big fan of, not so much anymore, especially not the Super Distortion. It was really driving me crazy. So I did change those pickups out, kept them around if I want to ever return it to stock. But now this is a guitar that I went from really not playing at all to playing quite a bit. And the 1991 Gazing pickups are perfect for shoegaze, and it's in the name. It's also got an AVRI vibrato and a Descendant Adaptomatic bridge, which really fixed up everything in that Jag. So yeah, there's my 4 Jags. So here are my Mustangs, kind of bridging the gap between my Jaguars and the Mustang is my Cobain Jagstang, which is a wonderful guitar that I have modified and do want to modify back to its original form. Right now it's got an Invader in the bridge and a Hot Rails in the neck, and like I said, I've kind of fallen out of favor with the super hot pickups. So on my list to fix in the next couple weeks, at least before the end of the year, is to return this guitar to stock, because it sounded much better stock than it does with these pickups in it. Next we've got my American Performer Mustang. This one's completely stock. It's got the stock Yosemite pickups, and it's a great modern interpretation of a Mustang. It's my favorite Mustang that I've ever played. It sounds like a vintage Mustang without all of the playability problems of a vintage Mustang. That's my take. Then I've got my Vintera 2 Mustang, which I have put a Hot Rails in the bridge and a Hot Rails in the neck. This is one place where I do think the Hot Rails belong, in the bridge of the Mustang. It's a great sound, great powerful rock sound. I'm going to keep it in the bridge, but definitely put a new pickup, new single coil Mustang pickup back in the neck position. Probably going to go with a Duncan Antiquity. Really like those Mustang pickups. That's probably what I'm going to put back in there. And then my last Mustang is the Player 90, which I have put Lawler Firebird pickups in. I got this guitar specifically to put to buy the Lawler Firebird pickups and put it in. I think the guitar was about the same price as the pickups, which is kind of funny. But this is a wonderful guitar, plays great, and those Lawler Firebird pickups are screamers, that's for sure. It's a nice happy medium between a single coil and a full humbucker. So no noise, plenty of clarity, plenty of bite, plenty of dirt when I need it, and it stays clean and clear when I want it to. So yeah, those are my Mustangs. Play them a whole lot. So here's the last of the offsets. I've got my Novo Cirrus J in Vandalism Yellow. It's a dream to play and it sounds wonderful. Such a good guitar. Got it earlier this year with hopes it would become my number one. And while it didn't necessarily become my number one, it's definitely a top 3 guitar for me. And one I play a whole lot. Play it a whole lot. Then in the middle, I've got my American Ultra 2 Meteora. And that's probably my biggest surprise of the year, guitar-wise. It's such a great guitar. The Haymaker humbuckers are definitely, bar none, my favorite humbuckers that I've ever heard. They're very clear and articulate, even when you push the amp really hard. And that's what I want in a humbucker. And they're not too dark. They've got a nice sparkle to them without being overly bright. And the guitar plays like a dream as well. Definitely top 3 or 4 or 5 neck. The neck is gorgeous. It's a great neck. And then I've got my Tom DeLonge Starcaster, which it's a cool guitar. It satisfies the crave for an offset and a semi-hollow guitar in one. It's kind of a one-trick pony. And the neck's not super great. It's not my favorite neck by any means. But it's a fun guitar to play. And when I need something that cuts through the mix in a kind of a dark and eerie way, that's my go-to. So here are my 3 non-offset guitars, starting out on the left with my MJT Strat in Graffiti Yellow. It's got a man-made bridge and a Fender made in Japan traditional 2-neck, which is a phenomenal neck. But the real standout here are the tone hatch pickups. I got the Glowing Ember set, which is very much like the Seattle 93 Jaguar set. These are hands down the best Strat pickups that I've ever heard. They're very well balanced, and the bridge pickup isn't wimpy like a traditional Strat bridge pickup is. It's got a lot of output, a lot of bite, but still maintains that Strat character. Like I said, best Strat pickups ever. The next to that's my HER signature Strat, which comes in Chrome Glow, which is definitely my favorite Fender finish of all time. It's kind of like an Inca Silver with an iridescent glow to it when the light hits it. Such a beautiful finish. And to make it even better, it's got a roasted maple neck with the matching head cap, and then just kind of ties it all together. I put some Fender locking tuners on it. It's got a Vega trem, which is great, great tremolo bridge, really great for shoegaze, really great for glide guitar. Really opens that guitar up for a lot of shoegaze stuff. And it's got the Seymour Duncan Corey Wong Clean Machine pickup set, which was previously my favorite pickup set. So it's got the Antiquity 2 surf pickups in the neck in the middle, and it's got a custom noiseless bridge pickup that's got some extra output. Like I said before, in the Strat or in the Jazzmaster section, Seymour Duncan really has the noiseless single coil pickups figured out. It's a phenomenal bridge pickup and a phenomenal set overall, and second only to those Tone Hatch Glowing Ember pickups. Such a wonderful set, and a wonderful, wonderful guitar. And finally, we've got my Epiphone Casino. This was a steal. I picked it up from Chicago Music Exchange for like $300. I'd always wanted a Casino for like 20 years, and I, for some reason, never bought one. I can't tell you why. Always bought something else instead of the Casino, but finally got it, and it's a great guitar. I don't play it a whole lot, but love the way it looks and love the way it sounds, and when I want to go for it, it's great. Then I've got my Bass 6. It's a Vintera 2 Bass 6. And I put Sunday hand-wound Bass 6 pickups in here. This is such a great instrument. You can use it as a guitar, you can use it as a bass, and you can use it as a Bass 6. Possibilities are really endless with this one. Gosh, it's one of my favorite instruments of all time, just because it sparks new creative ideas. Then, of course, I've got my only bass, my only true bass, which is a made in Japan Mustang bass. I'm definitely a fan of short scale basses, and a fan of the simplicity of the Mustang. It has that sound that I love, and it does it really well. So don't really need anything other than that from a bass perspective. So that's what I got. And finally, we got my two acoustic guitars. On the left is an Ibanez Auditorium. I'm not sure what the model is. It's all mahogany. It's a really great playing guitar that also sounds great. Very rich sounding guitar. And then I've got my Eastman E1S, which is a square shoulder dreadnought. It's kind of a nod to a Gibson J45. It's got a big boomy full sound, and I don't play acoustics a whole lot, but when I do, either one of these two will fit the bill for me and what I need. And yeah, that's all my guitars. All right, so that's it for the studio tour. Thanks for sticking around. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If so, please hit the like button. Please do subscribe, and I'll see you next time.